So hey guys, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be discussing my thoughts about a dark-skinned model being called a freak of nature by a white college professor. So this stems from a post I saw on the Neighborhood Talk on Instagram. I know I haven't really been covering colorism topics and race-related topics within the past year on my channel. And the reason for that is because sometimes I feel like I've said all that I could say and my thoughts are going to remain the same no matter the situation. The second reason is because sometimes I just don't feel like being provoked or having to cover every polarizing and emotional example of disrespect as it relates to Black women. And also, y'all start thinking I'm this activist, and I'm far from that. I want to speak on a wide range of topics and didn't want to categorize myself and not give myself room to talk about other things. But when something is video worthy, it's going to get covered, and I feel like a story like this is worth talking about. So what happened here is that Columbia University professor Jeffrey Leiberman responded to a Twitter post about Sudanese model Nyakim Gatwech and referred to her as a freak of nature. Also, y'all, if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, please correct me in the comment section down below. I'm Nigerian, not Sudanese. I'm going to pronounce it like a Nigerian, which is Nyakim Gatwech. But if you can write it phonetically down below, I would appreciate that. You know, I don't like butchering anybody's name because I've been through that my whole entire life. So the tweet read, "It is not a work of art made of black stone or granite. She is Sudanese model Nyakim Gatwech, the most beautiful among the Black beauties. She is the Guinness Book of World Records for having the darkest skin ever seen on Earth. She is also known as the Queen of Dark." So Professor Leiberman quoted that tweet and said, "Whether a work of art or a freak of nature, she's a beautiful sight to behold." I mean, what a backhanded compliment, even if that's a compliment. So this sent Twitter users into a frenzy because they were not here for him comparing her to a freak of nature and in a sense diminishing her natural looks and beauty to such a negatively questionable connotation. I think there are some key things to unpack about this, especially that this example is the first time I've spoken about this coming from a white man. So I've broken this video down into three main talking points. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So point number one is oblivion of dark skin disparities. I think one of the reasons this story took off is because people are way too ignorant to why colorism conversations have been the talk of the town since about 2018. And there are so many people who shut out the outcry of colorism conversations and label it as jealousy and insecurity. There are even people who are blatantly oblivious to the struggle. I do think sometimes it can come from a place of insecurity because some people don't know how to tell their story without wanting to be the only person who has suffered, without allowing other shades of women to adequately understand their pain, and without honoring the fact that the main solution to colorism is allowing all shades to be the standard of beauty and allowing them to coexist on all platforms and industries. For example, I run a modeling agency called The Queen Team Models. Please follow us on Instagram. And we cater to Black women and women of color, but we are primarily for Black women. And within that, we have quite a few shades of women that represent QTM, and I acknowledge and notice the quantity disparities. So what I mean is we don't have as many dark skin models as we do brown skin models, but we have the most brown skin models than we do light skin models, and then we have a number of biracial models as well too. I would say the brown skin girls are the most represented in my agency at this moment, and of course I would love for more dark skin girls to come through, and they have been. I think some of the apprehensiveness to join an agency like mine is, although it is solely for Black women and women of color, and when I say women of color, I really mean the biracial and Latina women that I have, which is really a few, definitely not the majority in any means, but I don't want to label them as Black because they are not. But the apprehensiveness stems from the indoctored thought process of not being pretty enough, not being good enough, not being welcomed enough, and much more. People are oblivious to the disparities of a dark-skinned woman's journey in life that derives solely from their skin tone. I've had plenty of dark-skinned models come through my program and tell me, "Chioma, I really appreciate you for starting the Queen Team Models because I would have never had the confidence to do modeling if it wasn't for you creating an environment that allows not only dark-skinned women to shine and be featured and awarded, but all types of women regardless of the shade, the height, the shape, and the background." And that's very rewarding to me because that was the whole point of starting this agency, giving young women between the ages of 18 and 30 who are colored and primarily Black women and the opportunity to be the it girl and shine in the lens that would traditionally not allow us to be respected in modeling. I think those disparities go over people's heads because some people don't recognize that they are even happening. But I truly feel like when it comes to women and beauty, it has to be common sense that a dark-skinned woman faces so much more turmoil in her journey to confidence and positive recognition. I don't like that people try to write off conversations about dark-skinned women and self-love, because if the battle exists for the average woman of any race and shade, then of course it exists for those who receive the short end of the stick, those who have been historically discriminated against, those who have been marginalized because of their skin tone, and people should never act as if this doesn't still happen. I will say that we have seen a huge jump in dark skin promotion for women in the last few years, and I want to see people acknowledge that positive as well. I know historically things have been nutty, but I've been seeing so much more representation over the last few years that I think we are truly actually moving in the right direction, and we should give credit to that as well. Now, point number 2 is trying to overcompensate supporting Black people and it ending up being offensive or cringeworthy. I think the main thing that took people for a storm was, unlike the usual outrage we see about colorism or simply the rude or condescending comments made about women of darker complexions, this time around it was coming from a white man who traditionally wouldn't comment on something like this. Now, within the last 2 years, we have seen so many white people and white institutions push this narrative about inclusivity and racial solidarity, mainly propelled by the worldwide public situation with George Floyd. So now we have MTV and Sony and many universities and all of these other entities trying their best to rectify racial injustices. And let's be real, a lot of it is performative. But we do see those entities that have definitely tried to make a change, right their historical wrongs, and provide opportunities for Black people by investing in our talents, our interests, and our platforms. Professor Leiberman, in my opinion, was trying to tip-tap along those lines by making what he thought was a positive and revering comment about Nyakim, and it ended up backfiring. So many people are trying to overcompensate their appreciation of Black people, and especially dark-skinned Black women, by now drawing so much attention to their Blackness instead of just simply crediting them for their talent, their work, their expertise, their journey, the whole 9 yards. For obvious reasons, his comment is offensive, but just to uncover why, I mean, to equate anybody to a freak of nature not only defies their humanity, but to make it seem as if this woman's skin tone is an unusual or unexpected occurrence is woefully ignorant. And I think he didn't even realize what he was saying. So by definition, a freak of nature is just that, an unusual or unexpected event or situation. And furthermore, it's defined as a person, animal, or plant with unusual physical abnormality. There is nothing abnormal about being dark-skinned, even though I can say in a country like America, yes, it is 13% Black and Black people come in so many tones and shades, but we don't often see anyone of the Sudanese level of dark skin. Many Sudanese people do possess this very dark skin, and we have examples like that here on YouTube. YouTuber Naima Tang has become a staple in the beauty industry for Black women because of her series called The Darkest Shade, where she would get the darkest shade of foundation in a makeup company's collection and see if it matched her very dark skin. So in all honesty, to reference Nyakim as a freak of nature, that might be quote-unquote abnormal to a white man from middle America, but simple awareness and research would easily show that being this richly melanated is very normal in a country like Sudan. Or I actually mean to say in South Sudan throughout this video. South Sudan and Sudan used to be one country, but in 2011, South Sudan did gain its independence. I would expect any Ivy League professor to either know this or think before he made a comment about such a touchy subject. I think sometimes people commenting on skin tone think they're doing you a favor by calling you a melanin queen or something subjectively positive about your skin tone, when I don't know, y'all, I just don't like it. I don't like being called a melanin queen. I think it was good for the movement when we first started to direct our outcry to inclusivity and positive reinforcement for Black women, but I think we can now transition into making comments that are more about being beautiful just because, or being talented or being smart, and not always have to tie in skin tone and shade if it's not necessary. It can sometimes be cringeworthy and have a reverse effect if the focus is forever going to be on the skin tone, even if it is positive. Now, my third and final point is changing the narrative. Now, the difference between the times that we have spoken about women who have been socially disrespected about their dark skin versus this situation is that usually the disrespect comes from Black men, and it does not come with an apology. It does not have any acknowledgement of the offense or even a remotely intellectual explanation as to why somebody would have so much to say about something someone can't control, like their skin color. But I will say that Dr. Leiberman actually acknowledged his wrongdoing and was instantly apologetic about the tweet. Now, he was dragged, but he definitely did say sorry. Referencing an article from NewYorkDailyNews.com, it says, "An apology from me to the Black community, to women, and to all of you is not enough," Leiberman wrote in an email. "I've heard many, and I am beginning to understand the work ahead to make needed personal changes and over time to regain your trust." Leiberman Leiberman's account has been removed. But the offending tweet was reposted by Gottschwetch herself, who said Leiberman's comment was hurting her brand. Unfortunately, I believe this has been impacting my Instagram account negatively, Gottschwetch wrote on Instagram. I have worked really hard to build my page and use it as a platform to promote self-acceptance, body positivity, and of course, my brand partnerships. But it's about self-love above anything else. She also shot down the Guinness World Record talk. Although I've denied it to multiple fact checkers, clearly it's still floating around even after Guinness World Records stated that it does not monitor skin tones. I can't imagine it's even possible to know who's the lightest or darkest person on the planet. So I'll credit his apology just a little bit because we usually don't get that, but I could err on the side of the apology being performative as well because, I mean, this is an Ivy League professor who was suspended because of a tweet. He has to clean up fast and in a socially ideal way. I did want to touch on the original tweet that even yielded this conversation. So many fans of Kim coined her the Queen of Dark, and I think the name is fitting, but the tweet was supposed to be praising her, but ended up saying that she was voted the darkest person in the world by Guinness World Records, which she shot down and said was false. And I think it's off-putting that someone would come up with this narrative with no validity, and I'm glad Kim debunked that because literally it's impossible to measure. I mean, how can we know who is the darkest and the lightest person in the world? She responded to this entire situation in an interview with Pix 11 News and said the following.
Stuck in my head is that you calling me a freak of nature, and I've been through, I was bullied before. I worked so hard to build a tough skin. I've worked so hard to be able to be in a room where I'm being discriminated, where I'm being looked at, I'm being looked at sideways, I'm being looked at as people are disgusted with me, was something I can't change. So, even though it hurt, I'm so grateful that I had so many people that already spoke up before I even saw the tweet, I had so many people so for me to do this interview with you and speak to you about it, it's shown that I'm standing up, for myself. And if I speak for myself and I stand up and I say, this is not right, it's showing these little Black girls out there that, our voice is the most powerful weapon we have, and we have to use it at all costs.
So I think this woman is beautiful, and her skin tone adds to her uniqueness, and her plight to be an image for many Black girls and women worldwide is honestly commendable, especially for the dark-skinned girls, especially those women who are that shade. I love how she said that a Black woman's voice is so strong and powerful, and if it's used correctly, we can make a change. And I agree, hence why I do commentary. I think people like Kim and platforms like her page, and even what I do with the Queen Team Models agency that I started, all help to change the traditional narrative that Black women can't be the standard, even though everything starts from us and we are the blueprint. I think we have definitely been serving and striving in the right direction to take our power back and showcase unique, natural, and diverse beauty that should have always been showcased. I have this questionnaire that I give to all of my models, and I ask all of my models to tell me their model inspiration. And Kim Gottschwetch was put down as a model inspiration on a lot of my models list, and even from some of the girls who are not dark-skinned. So her platform is seen by many, and she's doing a damn good job at standing in her skin, overturning her insecurity, and putting on for so many women who have been through disrespect and discrimination about their dark skin tone. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. I know we haven't done a skin tone or race or colorism related video in a while, but this one just struck a nerve, and I felt like this story really needed a video because not only do I work with models and I work with dark skin models, but I feel as though it's really important for inclusivity and respect of that inclusivity to occur, especially in the social climate that we're in now. If you guys haven't already, please go stream my new song Ballin'. It is out on all platforms. That's Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you have, we're on there. Definitely go stream my new song, run up the streams. We've been doing pretty well, and I really appreciate you guys for supporting my music. And of course, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys. Don't tell me zip, he can't handle a half pound of big